All right, guys, in this video, I want to talk to you about protein. So we want to make this as simple as possible. It may seem like a lot, but here's the thing. Preparation is key. So the two main numbers that we need to focus on are number one, the total calories, and then the second one is lean protein. Okay, so lean protein is going to support the lean muscle mass that you've got on your body. So, you know, sometimes females hear the word lean muscle mass and they think, we're going to get them all big and bulky. That's not the goal here. The goal is to feed and support that lean muscle mass so that stored body fat can be utilized as fuel, and then that's what's going to create the lean toned look that everybody's after. Okay, it's gonna boost the metabolism. It's going to make your body burn more calories while at rest. So while you're sitting there at your desk or just in your day-to-day activities, you're going to burn more calories, which is a good thing. So give you some simple scenarios here. So first of all, I'm just going to take an easy rule of thumb. Let's say that you need 100 grams a day just for easy math. Now, how do you find out how much protein you need? Go and refer to the MyFitnessPal video, because that's the first thing you need to set up. You need to set up MyFitnessPal correctly, because that'll tell you how many total calories as well as how many grams of protein that you need. And then we can make some adjustments from there. So let's say we need 100 grams of protein per day. Let's say that's the goal. So if you're just starting out and you're not used to eating quite a bit of food or more meals throughout the day, I would tell you to set it up like this. Go breakfast, lunch, a mid-afternoon snack, and then supper. Okay, because most people overeat at dinner time. So from 6 o'clock to the time they go to bed, usually it's a feeding frenzy because they're not eating enough food throughout the day. So if you're not used to eating that way, start out with those 4 meals and snacks like that. If you are used to eating this way, ideally I would go breakfast, lunch, and supper, and then a mid-morning and a mid-afternoon snack, okay? And that's what I'll teach you here today, but let's just break down the numbers real quick. Let's say you did the 4 meals a day, the breakfast, lunch, and supper, and the mid-afternoon snack. That would be 100 grams of protein total divided by those 4 meals is 25 grams per meal, okay? And so how do you figure out how many grams of protein? Well, MyFitnessPal is an easy way to do it. Looking at the grams on the labels. So for instance, there's 19 grams of tuna, or 19 grams of protein in this packet of tuna. So we know that we're almost there. So we maybe need to add maybe an egg to this to get the protein up to 25 grams. That's how you figure it out. And you can just look right on here and it says protein 19 grams. So that's how we figure out how many grams of protein. So in the scenario of doing the breakfast, lunch, supper, and the mid-morning and mid-afternoon snacks, so that's divided by 5, this is how I would break it out. I'd go 25 grams for breakfast, lunch, and supper, and then about 15 grams for the mid-morning and mid-afternoon snack, because we're not going to eat as much at those 2 times. So if that's how you do it, this is what a typical day could look like. So let's say for breakfast you're saying, hey, I do a flavored pack of oatmeal, like this is what I eat. I'll alternate these, which is a great choice. They're healthy, but there's no protein in there. So if you're doing, say oatmeal or cereal or fruit or something like that for breakfast, you've got the carbohydrate part and the fuel part, but you don't have any lean protein, and so you're going to be at a deficit and you're not going to hit the numbers throughout the day. So here's a couple ways that you can bump your protein up. A super easy way is to do eggs. So I've got we just got a pressure cooker for Christmas. So this is a super simple way to cook up and boil some eggs. So the rule of thumb for 25 grams, so 1 egg white has 6 grams of protein, and a whole egg does as well. It's got more fat in it with the whole egg with the yolk. So if you do the math, I would actually go 3 egg whites and 1 whole egg. That would equal 24 grams of protein, which would be right about in there. So I'd add that protein in on top of the oatmeal for breakfast. Now, if you're in a pinch and you still love eating your oatmeal, but you don't want to do the eggs, you can do something like a protein supplement. So we use Muscle Gain, which is by Advocare. And I look on the label here, 1 serving, which is 2 scoops, is 25 grams of protein. So again, this is going to provide my protein, this is my carbohydrates, and now you've got a complete breakfast there. But what my wife does, because we got 3 kids at home, she's trying to get them ready for school and so forth, she just does a meal replacement shake. So when I look at the label here, it's got 24 grams of protein, 24 grams of carbs, there's some fat and some fiber in there. So this is a complete meal, so if you're on the run and you don't have time to eat, you can do something like this. Now ideally, we want to use food as much as possible, but again, this is the next best thing, and my wife is in phenomenal shape, so they obviously work. So that is breakfast. That's an option there. Mid-morning, I would tell you, a snack option is something like this Greek yogurt. So we're shooting for about 15 grams of protein based on that 100 grams. Now, if you're a male and you need, say, 180 grams, you just have to eat more. That's all it comes down to. And so you've got to adjust accordingly, based off the MyFitnessPal and logging in there. So mid-morning, if I was shooting for 15 grams of protein, that's exactly what this has got in there. And it doesn't have to be exact, you guys. This just happens to be that way. So we use Dannon Oikos. Just look for a low sugar version of yogurt, and because that's the thing, the cheaper ones are going to have a lot more sugar, a lot more processed stuff in there, and so on and so forth. So that is mid-morning. Now let me talk mid-afternoon before I get into lunch and supper. Mid-afternoon, I don't love tuna when it's plain, but this is flavored tuna. So this is hickory smoked. There's some other ones. There's like lemon pepper and a few other options. This has got 19 grams of protein in it, so you can simply tear it open, eat it right out of there. It's not bland. It actually tastes good. You could mix it with something else, like maybe do an apple or something like that with it. But again, this video is focusing on protein only, so this would be the protein part of that mid-afternoon snack. So preparation is the key. So when you leave the house in the morning, or if you've got maybe an office at work, I would tell you to have 5 or 6 of these on hand. So on Monday, you just maybe bring 5 of these to work, and then you've got them there and you're prepared. If you've got a fridge at work, you could put 5 of these in the fridge. Obviously, you're typically eating breakfast before you leave work. If you're a person that you need an emergency kit, meaning sometimes you have to stay at work longer, or you're on your feet, maybe you're a nurse and you don't have time to get breaks always, that's where you've got to be prepared. And this is something that you can just pour in, shake up, and drink on the go. So preparation is critical, you guys, and just recognize and realize that. So that's breakfast, mid-morning, and mid-afternoon. That's our protein part for those 3 meals and snacks. Now for lunch and supper, this is what I would recommend. Whatever you make for supper, just make enough food so you've got leftovers for lunch the following day. So let's say that your lean protein is chicken, or maybe it's burger, lean red meat, or steak, or some other variation of fish, or turkey, or again, any combination of those various things. To get 25 grams, you're looking at about 3 to 4 ounces. So there's about 7 grams of protein per ounce of lean meat. It kind of varies a little bit, but that's a good rule of thumb. So if you're looking for 25 grams, we're going for about 4 ounces of lean meat. So when you measure that out, it's probably about the size of the palm of your hand is kind of how we measure that, maybe a little bit more than that. So if you're eating that for supper, say on a Monday night, on Tuesday at lunch, you should have that Tupperware container with the lean protein and whatever else you had with it. If it was some veggies, or put it on a salad, or half a baked potato, or whatever it is that you're having with it. So if you really think about this, it might sound like a lot as I'm talking here, but really, if you've got breakfast figured out every day, so if you're going to do some eggs and oatmeal, or a meal replacement shake like my wife does, that's breakfast. Then mid-morning is like that Greek yogurt. Maybe you do some almonds along with it just to get some extra calories in there. Lunch is leftovers from the night before, so that's already figured out. Mid-afternoon is going to be the tuna, and then if you've got to get some extra calories, it could be some more almonds, or maybe an apple or something like that along with it, or some veggies. And then again, supper is the only thing that you've really got to think about. That's the only thing that you've got to plan for, but everything else is planned out. So really think about that and keep it simple. Less options is better in the beginning, and then as you start getting sick of eating the same thing every day, that's when you can venture out and find some different foods. But this isn't about having 99 different choices. Keep it simple, keep it focused in the beginning, and then start expanding out once the habits are built. And I'm telling you, the hardest part at first is eating all of the food. and just getting those habits down. Now, so people sit there and go, man, I don't want to go on like this calorie restricted diet. And it's like, we're not. We're going to be feeding you. And I'm telling you, as you drop body fat and as you're putting muscle on, you actually need to eat more. So do you see? This is the exact opposite of what the diet center is telling you. They're telling you go on this calorie restricted diet and exercise a whole bunch. And then as you hit the plateau, they restrict your calories even more. Where we're sitting here saying, no, we're going to get you stronger safely in the gym. We're going to feed and support the lean muscle tissue in the kitchen, outside of the gym. And then as we go, we might need to actually bump the nutrition up, and it's so much better. You're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have control over this area of your life, but you've got to build these habits in, and you've got to take responsibility. You've got to be aware of this. So MyFitnessPal set up first, and then focus on this protein part second, and let us know what we can do to help. We're your coaches. We want to support you. We want you to have success. So if you're frustrated, confused, or anything like that, don't be. Reach out and ask for help. So I hope this added value to you, and let us know if you got any questions.